I bought Deep Rock Galactic earlier this year because my friends were playing it, but I was a little too late to the party and have never played it since. So I decided to play it for 24 hours just to see what it's all about. If you don't know, Deep Rock Galactic is a cooperative first-person shooter that was released back in 2020. Before playing, I had no explicit knowledge of what Deep Rock Galactic was about, but in summary, DRG is about space dwarves who go on missions either to mine minerals or to defeat monsters. My goal was to see how many assignments I could accomplish before the 24 hours were up. In this video, I will share all of my experiences and thoughts from the 24 hours that I put into this game. The first session I had with this game was on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. I had no idea what the gameplay would be like, but my first impression was that it was going to be like Risk of Rain 2, but not roguelike. I started the first mission, which tasked me to locate and extract Morkite, a simple task to understand some of the fundamentals of the game. The main part of the game was that you take up assignments and complete their corresponding missions. By completing these missions, you rank up to take on harder assignments. After this starting mission, I looked around the Deep Rock Galactic space station. The first thing I did going into the station was change my character. There are 4 classes in this game: the Driller, Engineer, Gunner, and Scout. They all have their respective perks and gameplay, but I found that the Scout worked best for me and played it for the rest of the run. Afterward, I ran around the station a bit more. Here's the layout. In the middle of the station is where you accept missions and assignments. It's not that interesting. At the furthermost corner of the station was this goofy robot who serves you beer. I was tempted to try it, but I held my composure. The more interesting part is the upgrade stations. It's located to the left of the assignment board. This was where you upgraded your class as well as your drone, whose name is Bosco. As you level up, you're able to access these upgrades, which in turn will aid you along your expedition. Once I finished my mini tour of the place, I set out for another mission. Now, this mission was going to be the first time I officially used the Scout. One of the key features of the Scout is his grappling hook, which allows for more traversability in the caves. But I mostly liked his grappling hook to swing on monsters in an epic fashion. On some occasions though, I would mess up the grapple and fall to my death. On the other hand, I also liked his weapon kit, which consisted of a rifle and a double barrel shotgun, or a blicky for short. The first 2 starting missions were collecting the mineral Morkite. I felt like the game was easing me into the game, which I really liked. It also helped to keep the game fresh as you moved further into it. It didn't introduce any curveballs to the game or any crazy new enemies right off the bat. It took its time with each mission, introducing at least one new monster or concept each time, and the introduction of new types of missions. There was another mission that had me stressed out. First off, there are supply drops in this game. These supply drops provide more ammo and more health, and you can order it if you have 80 Nitra. Nitra, by which is a red mineral in this game. I was on a point extraction mission, which requires you to find the mineral Aquarix. I was using my bullets pretty carelessly to kill monsters, and I thought I would be fine because there was probably nitro somewhere on the map. Turns out there wasn't enough nitro for me to order a supply drop, and I had to struggle to get out. Eventually, I ran out of bullets and all I had left was to run, or so I thought. Turns out I could have been using my pickaxe as a melee weapon this whole time. I was always wondering what the pickaxe upgrades did, and I finally found out. Before I had known this, I would just grapple and swing away every chance I got. This was a real lifesaver, and without it, I would have struggled on this mission a lot more. I was able to successfully complete this mission without any losses and make it back safely. To my surprise, there were 8 different types of missions. You had the mining expedition, egg hunt, on-site refining, salvage operations, point extraction, escort duty, elimination, and industrial sabotage. Each main mission had a random set of side missions that were paired with the main mission. These side missions would consist of things like killing fleas, collecting gunk seeds, or collecting flowers. Moving forward, I realized that the first assignment was like 10 missions long. I didn't even know that I wasn't even into the nitty gritty of the game. Anyways, from those 10 missions, elimination, escort duty, and industrial sabotage missions became my favorites. The elimination mission came up when I was literally wondering if there were any bosses in the game. The short answer is yes, there are. Your task when entering an elimination mission is to find and eliminate what are called dreadnought bosses. The escort duty mission was cool, but also a little stressful. You protect a huge drill from monsters, and then you run out of bullets. Then you go crazy because you didn't know rocks could just spew out lasers to directly attack the drill, or at least that's what I experienced. The last mission out of the 10 was very close. It was an industrial sabotage mission in which your goal is to destroy another company's data vaults. Essentially, there's a main room that is guarded by what is called the caretaker, who's enveloped by a force field. You have to follow the wires to 2 sub-rooms, and the task is to disable these power stations so you can access the caretaker. Once you finish disabling the power stations, you can activate the caretaker, which is a very strong boss that you have to beat. This boss was kind of hard for me because of the robot claws that were mauling me for a lot of my health. It felt like there was no second to rest because these claws were just shooting and tackling you while the main body of the caretaker was spinning around launching electric fields. What made it worse was that there wasn't a lot of space to just run around. I was almost like Spider-Man, running around and using my grappling hook just to be able to target one robot at a time. Eventually, my crazy tactical movements absolutely juked him and I defeated him. Finally, after almost 8 hours of gameplay, I finished the first assignment. After I finished that tutorial assignment, it was finally time to branch out and do my own thing. Some things to note before going into the next assignments were using upgrades on my weapons and on Bosco the robot. For the most part, I chose stuff that I thought was most beneficial to what I wanted. I didn't follow any builds or anything like that. I was just experimenting with the upgrades. Essentially, I spent my money on upgrades such as more accuracy when shooting, more damage to armor, and so on and so forth. I did the same types of upgrades for Bosco as well. If you're wondering who Bosco is, he's a robot who is tasked with aiding you on your missions. He can fight, pick up objects, and mine for you. He's very useful, but sometimes he can get into your line of fire since he's a little dumb. For the most part, it was more of the same grind, but one of the missions that I hated the most was neutralizing the contagion spike. In this mission, you have to deploy a cleaning supply drop which has 2 cleaning guns. These guns are called lithofoam and lithovac, but these aren't really the important part. I don't know who wanted this, but I thought it was just gonna be a nice little clean with some cool monsters. But the monsters are literally so annoying. Like, I'm minding my own business and traversing the cave, then all of a sudden, there's like the freaking worms swarming to me. Then they're so hard to hit because they're moving so fast and they're small. Not to mention, there's these pimple fucks who won't take damage unless I pop their pimples. All these aspects are how the mustard gas mission somehow became my most hated mission. But it was also the fact that this mission was paired with almost every other mission of the game. All I can say about that is that it's annoying, but worth it, I guess. Another mission that I also found annoying was the on-site refining mission. This was where you would have to connect pipelines to a central refinery. In my opinion, this mission sucked because I would have to forge a crazy route for the pipeline. It particularly had to have an angle that wasn't too steep, and that was literally the most annoying part about it. Then you'd have to activate the machine to start sucking the liquid minerals and defend the machine from being beaten up by the alien monsters. After a few waves, you'd have to find any damage done to the pipelines and fix it. It wasn't that bad of a mission, but making the pipeline was definitely a tedious task. Each mission that I took on lasted anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. I started struggling towards the end of my run. On another note, it was really late into the game and I didn't know that when you enter the DRG station, the left monitor is where you gain points for certain perks. Perks in this game are basically more quality of life upgrades that you can apply to your character. Anyway, I went through more runs and this is when it started feeling a bit repetitive and I was burning out. I think one of the biggest strengths of this game is its online multiplayer, to have new experiences every time. It started feeling stale since I was just playing on my own and wasn't really feeling the grind. But I continued forward and finished my run. The game was really fun, and there's such a wide variety of missions that it caters to many different players. This game felt like Risk of Rain 2, but mission based. I think that if you have the time, you should definitely give this game a shot and play it with some friends. It has its own grind, and there are a lot of maps, monsters, and missions for the player to explore. This game goes on sale on Steam for $10 quite often, so pick up a copy if you can. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoy this type of content, you can support this channel by subscribing. If you want to see me creating these videos live, follow me on twitch.tv/ChesLynn.